Alright, I'm on hole number 2 of the Summer Major. I'm in Monday's practice round. If you're looking for full demo videos, these are not the ones. This is just practice, so I'm trying to figure out what clubs to bring and where I'm at and what kind of distances we can get and where our red lines are, and trying to set it up for the second shot. Now, I've seen people shooting out here, and this is definitely big dog range. So you get out in this range right here, you got a big dog and you can bounce over, and this is a very tricky situation down here. We can try and it's one of those whoop-de-whoops. This spot's down here in the hole, and it comes up, and then it's a weird deal. So you're not gonna your ball guide's gonna get confused. And so it's going to be really tricky. Like when you're coming up here, it may look like you need to put on topspin on this to get it to roll up there, but it's going to be one of those deals where you're not going to want to adjust it a whole lot. And you're hitting so far down into this hole that we're definitely going to want to add some wind on when we're hitting that shot. I've only hit this hole twice and I failed both times, but I've been trying, if you watch the ball guide, I've been trying to bounce over to here so that my drive shots, it looks like if you can get over to this part, your ball guide will kind of drift down. So as long as you don't come over there with any power and blow past this, once it hits, it'll want to drift down a little bit. And if you can get your ball to stop out in here versus stopping out in here, this distance gained is going to pay big dividends on the other end. You won't have to bring such a big wood, and you may be able to get on the other side of this. So I haven't hit this yet. I've clipped the rough down here both times, and the second time I just chipped it right back. Both times I just chipped it right back, and I came at it with a Guardian, and I was actually able to start off on the other side. So my goal here is to try and get over to here with a 3 power ball. So I'm going to take my number 1 bag, which I've got set up with a Guardian, and I'm going to take a Titan. Now this might be a situation where we have to bring a bigger side spin ball, but I have a lot of Titans, so I always like to start off with a Titan and see what I can do, and if I'm short, then I can make the decision to go to a Kingmaker. But I have a lot of Titans, so I always like to start with them. Alright, hole number 2. Have no idea. If I don't make it over there, I'm going to chip it to the spot I'm trying to get to so I can see what that second shot looks like. See, it looks like you're just a little short, and see how it's just drifting. So right there is about 3-4. So if I left the wind in it, it looks like, it would make that deal. It's such a narrow area over here, and you don't really want to overpower. And if you put on any curl, you're just shortening it up. It's going to be a very tricky shot. Put on just this, leave the wind in, hit it great to the left, which took out that little teeny bit of curl, and the whole goal is to try and miss it without getting into that rough. So the deal there is I'll have to put on more curl, and the more curl I put on, the more I bring that rough into play that's on the right hand side. So trying to make it over here, it gets longer. This rough goes longer on the right, so the more right hand curl I put on it, the more I take the risk of either missing that completely and ending up in this sand, or clipping the rough. But it wouldn't be that bad of a deal to clip the rough here and just dribble out. The distance that you would gain from over here is huge. I'm just wondering if there might not be a max overpower hook shot going to the right and trying to bring it all the way over to the left. My opponent's obviously practicing as well. Let's look at that hole again. I was down in this area, I could get on here. I'm just wondering if I couldn't bring a bigger power ball and try and just start off on this fairway and get over and have this whole run right here. That's probably the way to go at it. and bring out a big power ball. So the goal would be to get, if you clip the rough out here and you just rolled over, you're probably somewhere in this neighborhood. So I'm just going to lay it up out there just so I can see what the second shot would look like. I'd like to go back and get that drive again. Unfortunately, I can't. Because I think with the distance that I had out there in that other fairway going straight forward, that I probably could have reached this. And if I brought a 5 power ball instead of a 3, if I was down here, my red line probably be somewhere up in this neighborhood. And with max topspin and an overpower, and I got a big fairway down here to overpower into, that you might be able to just get over and get way up in that chute. I still think on the other end, I don't know what that shot would look like. I don't know whether you could finesse it in by bringing accurate clubs, or whether you'd have to bring backspin clubs like a Saturn or something, try and get really close. Yup. Why didn't you just put it back in play? Now let's see if I could reach with my Guardian, not with a 3 power ball. The one thing I will say about a Guardian though is that right there, that's a really safe max overpower shot. You could max overpower that with a lot of backspin, and you're pretty confident. I'm pretty confident I'd end up on the green. You can see how far down to the hole you're hitting right here. Let's put a little bit of topspin just to get it over that rough. Just a titch. And this wind adjustment's going to be really tricky. So there's 2, 4, just a little. Hitting it great to the left, just to see if that, I did about a 10% over adjustment there. That's going to be I mean, that's not that that's not makeable, but man, that's one of those weird bounces. If you're in the wrong spot and you have to put on too much topspin, especially the further back you are, the more topspin you're going to have to put on in order to clear this. And the more topspin you have to put on, it's running so flat to the ground that you're going to get a lot of run. It would be much better to be in a spot where you could actually hit on the other side. Since we're practicing, the next, if I get this, I'm going to try and play my other account at least a couple holes so I can see, especially on this one, see what a 5 power ball would do there, because now that I look at it, there's such a big landing area up there that if you used a 5 power ball, I think you have a serious shot at getting over. And you might be able to. You lose a lot of distance with a big topper, but it might be worth coming to this hole with a secondary bag set up with a big topper just to take a look at it if you had a 5 power ball. Because if you could get over, that's a big gap. It's going to be less important here on the drive than it is how you're setting yourself up for your next shot. So the deal is, you want to set yourself up well for your next shot. And coming at this at max big dog, I mean, obviously this isn't going to be a high percentage hole for Albie, but you might be able to put yourself in a better shot for Albie if you could dig yourself all the way up in there and be able to come at this with a long iron. It's definitely worth exploring. Because I can guarantee you there's somebody in your bracket that's going to be willing to pull out whatever it takes to get up there to give themselves, number one, an easy eagle, but a better look at Albie. Alright, that was hole number 2 of the Summer Major in Monday's practice round of the Rookie Division. Thanks for watching.